So, just we ask very simple questions here. It's a quick question, I'm sure, question, and I guess most of you would know this answer. So one of the most enduring and important qualities for an entrepreneur is perseverance, and to stick to it and to keep at it and to make it work. So I'm sure Ravi's session now will be very interesting, and we're touching on some of these points. And I think he's having a session which combines entrepreneurship and the importance of spirituality in it. So one story which always stands out in my mind is the story of a company, and so that's my question to you. So there's this company which is famous for starting to sell cereal to make sure they're able to pay the bills. Yeah, someone has already answered. All right, so he gets the chocolate. So that's it. So I knew that was a very simple question, but the whole point was sometimes you just need to do everything that you need to do to make sure, if you believe in your product or vision, you need to just keep doing it. And so there's this very famous investor, Fred Wilson, who's actually written a blog post recently on how he's actually got one of the cereal boxes in his office to remind him that he should have never passed on Airbnb when they came and pitched to him, because it's a $10 billion company today. I would like to introduce Ravi Narayan. Ravi Narayan is the director of Microsoft Ventures India and also heads the Microsoft Ventures Accelerator program. Ravi was in the US for a long time and is an angel investor and entrepreneur in his previous avatars. He did his education at IIT Madras, followed by his MBA from USC, University of Southern California. So on to Ravi.
In my career, I have done several talks of different kinds, and I've done several startups, I've done several mentoring sessions, and now I've started combining the mentoring sessions with the startups. And some of my later startups have all been about mentoring companies. So now I'm attempting to do something very different with you people, which I feel is a very important thing, especially because it goes back to the fundamentals. It goes back to the very natural state of things and start from there. So I was here about 6 years ago in Trivandrum. I was invited by the government of Kerala to speak about VCs, how to form VCs in this part of the world. And of course we had a big session. We had lots of people talking about, this is how we go about doing it, this is what we do, we can set up an office in Trivandrum, and so on and so forth. And 6 years later, I'm here, and nothing has changed. So it's not that there is anything right or wrong about that. It's just that there was a time in which things would happen naturally. And the naturalness about this, about you as entrepreneurs, naturalness as us as investors seeking out entrepreneurs here will happen in due course. It's nothing that can be forced. And it is something that will happen just because of the interactions that people have amongst ourselves. It's about you, it's about me. And therefore, when we start making these interactions happen, then we find that there is value. There is something that is happening that is creating a stickiness about this. Just before this, I had a very humbling experience of watching our chess champion setting up his startup. Now he has gone back to his natural instincts of what he does extremely well, right? And that's what he's building up on. And therefore, he's bound to succeed. He's bound to succeed because it's coming from his natural competence. So in a way, we're going back to the fundamentals. So I just wanted to experiment with you, something that I have not done before, and this is the first time, and my son there is getting very jittery. He's saying, what's this my dad is doing? But anyway, so first thing, there is, I also want to kind of get you guys involved in this whole journey, okay? And you would feel that, okay, when you see investors, you see entrepreneurs, they come in jeans, they come in this thing, and say, okay, let me come in something that's a lot more natural to us, right? And I'm not trying to be a spiritual guru or anything like that. It's just something that we feel very comfortable with. So, first of all, when we are building businesses, the first fundamental thing that I have always faced is that we try to intellectualize things. Okay? As in, oh, this is what is happening in Silicon Valley. This is what is happening in Bangalore. And should we be doing this? And the question is why? Why do we want to do that? There's nothing magical about Bangalore or Silicon Valley that you should replicate or emulate or ape or copy. No need for that. The customers that you can access, the resources that you can access are pretty much everywhere nowadays. With the cloud being there, with the mobility being there, technology as an enabler, your customers are all around you. The problem statements that you want to solve all around you. The resources that you need to solve these problems are all around you. Okay? So the first point that I want to make is the building of a startup is not about intellectualization, it's about the other people. It's not about you. Okay, a lot of times people say, coming out of, say, a Microsoft or a Google or someplace else, say, you know what, I was building this product for Microsoft, and I kept telling them that they could do it better, they could do it faster. They just didn't listen to me. And therefore I left. I'm out. I'm going to build this better. And I'm going to show the Microsoft guys, my boss who didn't believe me, that I'll go build a startup, and I will tell him that I have a valuation of $100 million in 3 years. That's all about you. What have you solved? What problem have you solved? You don't solve anybody's problem. You're just taking on your own egoistic journey in making certain things happen. You have not spoken to customers. You're not spoken to co-founders. You're not spoken to partners. You're not in their world. You're in your own world, and you're trying to create a startup. So the first lesson that I want you to take is that it's not about you, it's about other people. So what we do as a methodology, as a technology in Microsoft Ventures and other places as well, is what we do is something called customer development. It's not customer acquisition, it's customer development. Who are my customers? Get into their world, understand them. Who are they? What do they look like? What do they wear? What do they eat? When do they wake up? When do they go to bed? What makes them happy? What makes them successful? So in that whole paradigm, if you find something that is not making them successful, you say what? I will make you successful. And that's when you start having a problem statement that you can go and solve, and people are going to be very happy to take you on. Okay? So we try and get this whole thing going. And why is it important? I mean, I'm not saying this in jest, okay? To tell me what does the customer wear, when does he wake up, when does he go to bed, where does he go to work? Because it is by understanding him or her that you are going to be something, you're going to be making yourself successful, right? So let's say, for example, we found that lots of times in the media space, there is a lot of media that is coming his way, right? I'm just giving you an example of a customer that one of our companies found. And they have a huge amount of budget, and they want to find the best way to monetize all the media that they have. and they just can't find, and then he's struggling because he has a budget, he has enough money to put to work, and he has the media as well, but he just doesn't seem to be creating enough of a revenue stream for his company, and he is under constant pressure to make this thing happen. So when you're trying to do that, you're looking for answers. So sometimes what you do is you first of all, let's call this gentleman the media buyer or the media manager within the company, right? And he is under constant pressure to generate revenues, and he is saying, what are the things that I can do? First of all, he'll take the burden upon himself, and he'll say, can I do something differently? Can I change my metrics? Can I go and incentivize my buyers to go make certain things happen? Then he finds out that it's not within his limits to do this because there are certain dynamics he can't change. So then he starts looking around for potentially some vendors who can come and give him the answers. So in walks you, the entrepreneur, and he said, I have a solution for you. Because this is the problem that you're facing. You are under constant pressure, your career is at stake, and you need some help. So I can actually come in and give you a solution where I will provide you a dashboard of what media you have, how much money you have, and what kind of revenues that you are able to generate, and I'm able to make that happen for you seamlessly. So you don't need to dip into in one database here, one database there, call up somebody and make a spreadsheet of your own. None of that. I'll give it to you all seamlessly. So then you give this solution to him, and then he is extremely happy. So then you say, if this person is happy, how many such people are there? Are there hundreds of them, thousands of them around the world? That's your market opportunity, right? And you find that there are indeed. Every media manager has this problem, and there are media managers, some thousands of them in India, but then there are several hundreds of them, thousands of them elsewhere in the world. So you have an opportunity because you're solving somebody else's problem. And this is a big paradigm shift that people go through. It is, what is it that I can do for the world versus what does the world want me to do that I can go make happen based on my own natural competencies. Okay? So it's a big, big thing. So we actually spent an entire week trying to make this paradigm shift happen. So we tell the people, go ahead, pick up the phone, call customer so-and-so. Because you said this is the customer, right? So you wanted to speak to this person at Star TV, here is the phone number, call him. What the natural propensity of us entrepreneurs is to pick up the phone and say, I am so-and-so from this company, and they also say, what, for some reason, private limited. So wait, how does it matter whether it's a private limited or not? But anyway, they say, I am a private limited. And then they say, I have built this product, and these are the features. This is what it does. I say, no, don't tell them the product, don't tell them the features. Just call up this thing and say, I believe you have this kind of a problem, do you? Or, I believe that other people have this problem, and this is what we are trying to talk to them about and see how we can solve that problem. Do you have the same problem? And he says, you know what, maybe I do. Tell me a little bit more about it. How deep is this problem? And the problem, and the person starts relating to you that they have this problem, and they relate to you more and more and more. And then you say, you know what? This is a guy who will continually be my customer for a long time. Right? That's what you're thinking in your head, but what you're speaking to him is, this is the problem, and I am getting validated that this is indeed the problem. So after you have had this discussion, you're not sold him anything. That's okay. Put the phone down. Don't sell him anymore. Just listen. You have listened to the customer, you understood the problem statement, and you are doing this continually. Your customer developing. You're profiling the customer. Who are these people? Where in the organization do they sit? What are their pressures in career, pressures in revenue generation, what are their targets? Right? Absolutely important. And I'll underline this with another story for you. So when I was doing my second startup, this was a telecom startup in the voice over IP space. I went to one of my seniors from IIT and I said, can you give me some time? So he said, yeah, sure, come on over. So I went to Boston and waited outside his office. So his office, unlike what I had pictured it would be, being a very plush office with potted plants and steel and glass and stuff like that, it was a very small warehouse somewhere in the back of Boston. And I asked him, I brought my co-founders with me. I just want to come and speak to you about some introductions I need, some customer introductions I need. He said, sure, I can do that. So then I asked him, so we went in his presence. We waited for some time, we went in his presence, and lo and behold, it was a very small office in the warehouse, small, and one small desk with a CRT TV, CRT monitor. Remember those days? Large ones, they were almost like 3 feet. It's sitting there, but his monitor ends somewhere else. And then there is a keyboard, and there's an Excel spreadsheet. And that's all he had. This is his office. This guy has just sold his company to Ascent Communications and made a few $1 billion. There's a Jaguar outside and all that. But what he's doing there, it seems completely incongruous with what I had pictured him to be. Multi-millionaire, just sitting with one PC and a keyboard. I don't think he had a mouse. We had a mouse at that time. Anyway, so now I asked him, what are you doing? You're supposed to be, writing software, building your next product, and getting your company going. He said, no. What I'm doing is I have on this spreadsheet 100 names of customers that I feel may be people who will speak to me. And therefore, I just want to talk to them and find out what is it that I can do to help them. That's all I want to do. So what I'm doing is, because some of them know me very well, they're saying, oh, why do we have to do this on the phone? Just come on over, let's have lunch together. And the other people are just being very generous and giving me time to speak to them on the phone. But until I finish 100 discussions like this, I am not going to write a single line of code. And I'm not going to project my thoughts onto somebody else. And that's what he did. And afterwards he built the next largest company that was there in the telecom space. And this for me was a huge insight. I was saying, this guy has got so many years of experience, such fantastic network. How can he go wrong? But he knew that he was out of, he was on his new journey and he needed to learn how to do this right. And that for me was a huge learning. So, in a way, whenever you're doing your startups, it's not about you, it's about the other people. It's the customers, it's the partners, and even the other people, the founders. It's about how do you make them successful. People that are along with you in the journey. They've also taken a leap of faith. They have stopped their corporate lives. They have stopped their, careers, no money coming in, right? Like Radha was saying earlier. And they are also taking a risk in their lives. How do you make them successful? How do you make your team members successful? Because they also have come and gotten off of a large company like TCS and joined you. Obviously, they are wanting to be sure that they want them to be successful. So if it's making them successful, then suddenly what you see is your company starts, organically growing much faster. So in a way, for me, if I now have been through this journey for several times, as an entrepreneur, as a mentor, as an investor, I feel sometimes I get very philosophical and then I say, what, this is all karma. Whatever you do to other people, it happens back to you, right? So you can only create your success by making other people successful. Is the way I look at it. And it just works because there's no other way I can answer it. Right? Because it doesn't make sense, because everybody wants to have control, they want to make sure that there is a business plan, there's a milestone that's driven and all that. That's great. But at the end of the day, if you're just projecting your thoughts, your idea, after a while, even the early beta customers that were there with you, they'll say, you know what, we are done. We don't want this product anymore. Please take it back. So it's always about them. Lesson number 1. Okay? So I was supposed to do some yoga with you guys. I told Robin, hey, if you're saying startup mantra, then actually I should be giving you not just the mantra, but also making you do some yoga. But it looks like it's a very packed room. So let's try something else. Let's try some breathing exercises. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. So for this, it's about getting a larger perspective. So for me, for getting a larger perspective, breathing exercise is all about pranayama, right? You all are familiar with pranayama?
Yes.
Okay. So since you're sitting, I'll also sit. And if you can just sit straight, get your 2 fingers of the right hand, the thumb and the first finger. Close your left nostril with your forefinger. And then what you will do is you breathe out of the right nostril. And then you breathe in from the right nostril as well. And then you change. And then you breathe out of the left nostril, taking from the left nostril, and do it 10 times. And see if the perspective that you're having about, it's all about me, it's about them happening for you. Okay? Let's start. Relax. You're able to accommodate more people in your perspective now, not just you. Okay. Great. So can we open the doors when we're doing this breathing? I don't want the same breath that you go to somebody else. Let's get some fresh air. Okay. So lesson number 2. So lesson number 1 was, it's not about you. Lesson number 2. You're just the messenger. So, for me, a startup is a marathon, right? Radha talked about this, Arjun talked about this journey. I can talk about several marathons I have gone through, right? So it's a marathon. What's the story of marathon? At least the legend. What does it say? There was this gentleman called P.D., right, who was a soldier in the army, and he was told that the Persians there was a battle of Marathon, right, and he was told to go run and inform the Senate that they have won the war. Finally, Persians have been beaten back, and they won the war. And he ran all the way from the Battle of Marathon back to Athens and said, ran about 42 kilometers, and he came all the way, and he just came into the council, and he said, hey, we have won, and then died. Right? That's the legend. So it's a marathon. I mean, in a way, you want to be able, I don't want you guys to die at the end of this course. It's a long journey, and it's about creating, there's a huge amount of purpose about what you're going and doing. So in a way, when you are building the startup, you start out with so many intentions, so many ambitions, aspirations, and you have made some promises to your spouse or your parents and said, you know what, I will do this only for 6 months and I'll show you that I will do a fantastic job and all that. So there's all these things happening in your mind. But then really, if you really look at it, you don't have too many of these things under your control. Really, you're just a messenger. You will be keeping your eyes and ears open, listening to so many different things all around you, and you will be formulating your idea as to how you will make this thing work. you really don't have anything under your control. You know, once you think you have a fantastic business model, government changes the rules. Maybe more so in Kerala than elsewhere. So you really don't have much. So you have to continually keep doing course corrections. You have to continually keep on changing your business model, pivoting, whatever it takes, right? Stay close to the ground. You don't need to come up with, you know, at a very high level, do something much magical. But you stay with your eyes and ears open, listening to the customer base and continually evolving your business model. Evolution is absolutely natural. You have to be ready for it. What happens in the early days of the journey is the pivots are much larger. You will do this, but then as you go along, you start going and suddenly start stabilizing. Right? So I'll tell you my journey of a marathon, real marathon that I ran. So in January of this year, I ran the Mumbai Standard Chartered Marathon. First time. And I said, you know what, before I get too old and I'm not able to do this, I mean, my mind may say it's great, but my body may not agree. So I said, why don't I just finish this before I get too much there? So I started this journey. So I had my aspirations. I said, you know what, I'm going to finish this in 4.5 hours, 42 kilometers. So this was my aspiration. So interestingly, what happens in marathons, especially professionally run marathons, is that you have these flag bearers or buses, as they call them. And each of these buses have a certain time frame. So if you want a 4.5 hour bus, you catch that bus, it will take you to the end, to the finish line in 4.5 hours. So all you need to do is just run with this guy. He'll keep telling you also. You know, he's a professional runner, so he will tell you to pace yourself, not to run too fast, slow down sometimes, walk for a little bit, drink some water, go to the bathroom, whatever. He'll help you with everything. As long as you stay with him 4.5 hours, he will get you there. That's his job. Obviously, he can do much faster, but because he's looking around, making sure everybody is fine, he will also go a little slow. So I found the 4.5, the flag was running up there. I just ran along with him. And then after a while, it was early morning, 5:30. So, you know, I still had not finished all the morning ablutions. I said, okay, so let me just go to the bathroom, I'll come out and then I'll catch this guy again. So I went to the bathroom, you know, along the way, when we were running, we had already run about maybe a kilometer or two. Went to the bathroom, came out, 4.5 was gone. So it's okay. Let me see if I can catch the 5 o'clock or a 5 hour bus. So the 5 hour bus came along and I started running along with him. And then again I had to, you know, stop off and, you know, take care of something else. 5 hours is gone, 5.5 is coming. This is the one. This is absolutely the one I'm going to catch and I'm going to stay with this guy. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, what will my friends think? Everything will be on the website. So, you know, I've taken a picture and put it up on Facebook. Everybody knows that I'm running, you know, huge amount of pressure and stuff like that. So I said, I can't not leave this, you know, 5.5 hour guy because, you know, I'll be a joke of the family, you know, right? So I am running as fast as I can alongside with him. And then, you know, so I don't know if you know the route, but you actually go on the ceiling. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And we, you know, just were going there. The breeze was great. There was no sun yet. You know, always the sun had not come out. And this was absolutely surreal for me. I said, you know what, I should take a selfie here. So I stopped off. I took a selfie, beamed it up, and then the 5.5 hour was gone. As much as I tried, it kept on going farther and farther away. I said, this is ridiculous. And then I said, okay, I have anyway, for good or for bad, I've reached the halfway mark. I've reached the other top of the ceiling, and now the idea was to all come back, and that was it. And that's when it hit me that there was nobody around me. And you know, just a few stragglers behind me were just running, and I was emanating from the bottom. Now there's heat from the top from the sun and heat from the bottom from the tar. And I'm just like, running and I'm slowing down, I can't do any more of this. And then I started really drawing upon myself. What else? How much more energy can I draw from myself? Right? So I'm really beginning to understand whether my left leg is stronger, my right leg is stronger. I'm beginning to understand my body a lot more. And then I said, how is it that I can really make it to the end? There's no option in this matter. I really have to make it to the end because everybody is watching. They know my bib number, they have my photograph. They will know whether I cross the finish line or not. So anyway, so after a while, I got past it. The heat was immense, all that. And they were, in fact, I don't know if you know, the Mumbai culture is that people were coming out with, big biscuits and oranges and tang and whatever, glucose. People were extremely generous. People were ready to even put the spray on your muscles which were getting hard. And they would do all that. So there were so many people just coming to help you. And then the mind just blanked out. I could not have any more aspirations. I had no care for whether I was going to finish or not. I had no care for whether I was going to, follow this guy or follow that guy. No more. It was just about me. And my job was only one thing, was finish this, just keep going. It doesn't matter. And that's all I did. And I finished it. And in fact, I finished it much faster than I thought I would. I was just behind the 5.5. Because after I let go of all those other, conflicting issues and so on and so forth that kind of comes into your head, and it just became, okay, I'm here on a mission. The mission is to just finish, and I just wanted to fulfill the mission. It became absolutely calm, and my body just kept on going. So in a way, for you, the startups is exactly that. You just have to have that clarity of purpose. And you have an idea of what is your business model, just execute on it and just keep going. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether it's will be successful, whether it will make you $1 million company or a $100 million company or a $1 billion company, don't worry about it, just do it. You are just the messenger. You just have to now fulfill on the promise that you went out and made. That's it. Not to other people. The promise that you had built in your startup, just fulfill that promise, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong about it. Just have the clarity of purpose. That's absolutely important. In fact, I'll tell you another story. So I have a friend who comes from Trivandrum. My father-in-law's friend, not my friend. So for him, whenever I meet him, he's in a different profession. Extremely accomplished person. PhD and so on and so forth. So one time he's a professor, and if you meet him, he thinks being a professor is absolutely the best thing in the world. What could be any different? I mean, what could be any better than being a professor? Right? And then the next time I met him, he was a VC in the US. And because somebody thought, he has such fantastic understanding of the semiconductor technology that he needs to be advising the VCs to help make investments in the VC firm. So when I met him, he said, professorship, oh, that's not at all sexy anymore. VC is the new best thing. So he was absolutely clear. There was no other way of doing this at all. At that time in his life, it was absolutely the right thing to do. And then of course he went through several other professional changes as well. Today, he's a diabetic. He's one of his limbs is amputated, and he's not necessarily at the best of health, but he's again back a professor, and he is the head of a department in one of the universities in Texas. And for him, this is absolutely the best thing that could happen in his life. How could anything else be happening to him at all? And this is the way I would like you to think. Don't look at yourself and compare yourself with somebody else and say, you know what, he's doing so much better. He just started at the same time I did. So it's just about what you're doing, and just stay to that and just be the messenger. Just execute on it, and you will be really, really happy. Okay? So lesson number 2 is you're just the messenger, and you're just going to execute on a model that you think is the right model at that point in time. Right? Okay. So the first breathing exercise we did was called Anuloma Viloma, right? Now what we'll do is Brahmari. You know Brahmari? What you do is you sit down, sit straight. So this is just to have a clarity of purpose. Okay? Take your both thumbs, put it into your ear. I won't be able to hear myself, so let me. And then take your forefinger, put it on your forehead. And then take your second finger, it just goes into the pit between your nose and your eyes. And you just go. You do it 3 times. You know, the reverberation goes back into your brain and starts calming down your mind. Where you come back and say, okay, things are just calm. All I need to do is fulfill the purpose. Right? Okay, that's lesson number 2. Last lesson for the day. I guess I'm getting into this really well now. Okay, lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 is I am the passion. You are the passion. What is an entrepreneur about? Entrepreneurship is not about the fact that you are a PhD, you are a super specialized guy, all that. It's about passion. Because really at the entrepreneurial journey, everything is pretty much dark. Nobody has been there before. That's why you're an entrepreneur. It's all dark. So who shines the light in this darkness? It's you. And you have to generate this passion, this energy, this light to show yourself the path. Nobody else will show you the path. Arjun was saying earlier, mentors will show you but then the mentors will only show you the path if they are asked us the right question. Sometimes just asking the right question of the mentor is going to get you the right answer. Right? So you have to generate this passion amongst every morning to wake up and say, all right, this is all, this is great, and what I'm doing is great, and go making this thing happen. That generation of that passion has to come from you, nobody else. In fact, I'm a big believer in intentionality. So your intention is so strong. It's so strong that things around you start making itself happen for you. In fact, when your brother was bringing me this morning, he was telling me, Robin's brother, when he was bringing me, he said, some miracle happened yesterday, last night. So there was a sponsor that had dropped off, things were looking really desperate, and then suddenly, close to about 1 o'clock in the morning, a new sponsor showed up. And he said, you know what, you guys are so intense, so passionate about what you're doing. I'm willing to sponsor you guys. Now, do you think this is something that you could have orchestrated with somebody sitting on the other side of the world? You can't orchestrate any of these things. Just because your intention was so good and you're passionate about it, the entire world bent around to make your reality a reality. Right? So it is that kind of intentionality that most of us have to bring into the picture. We have to generate it, we have to guide ourselves, and make the world around us, make us get that into reality. That's all there is. So how do you generate this intentionality? There are several reasons why you could just flag and drop off and all that. So in fact, when I met one of these startups who met me 6 years ago to now, he's saying he's still at it, he's still making progress, right? But there is some intention that he is continuing to generate every day because he's continuing down this path. Obviously, is not very happy with the way things are, things can be done, and I'm sure we can work that out. But the intention to continue has been phenomenal. So let me tell you a journey of another personal journey. So I was also at the point where I was kind of flagging in one of my startups. And I wasn't sure whether I was doing the right thing. A lot of people had told me something else. My intentionality was started to go down. So my father-in-law showed up at home and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing a startup. And he happens to be a professor, so he was horrified. He said, what startup work? How does startup work? Where do you go to work? I said, I don't go to work. I go to the basement and do my coding. He said, okay. And that, unfortunately or fortunately, my wife had delivered my twins at that time. They were only about a couple of years old. So my father-in-law was always thinking, okay, first of all, this guy took the commitment that he'll take care of my daughter. Now the guy has to take care of my grandchildren, and he's sitting in the basement and coding away. What's he doing? So immediately he picked up the phone and called one of his friends who was supposed to be who was the guru of startups. He called him up and said, Ravi is saying he's quit his job at IBM and he's sitting at home and he's going to the basement, but he comes up regularly for breakfast and lunch. Is this natural? I mean, the way this guy works? So that gentleman on the other end said, yeah, looks like, he's doing the right thing, by the way. So he said, can you please guide him, because I'm not sure I can guide him because I have no bloody clue how startups work. I'm a professor. So he said, yeah, sure, why not? Just have him come over to the Bay Area. So I used to live in Washington, D.C. Come over to the Bay Area. I'll talk to him. So I was very reluctant, but because it was somebody who I respected in California and somebody who I respected in Washington, D.C. Both were telling me to go, so I went. And I showed up there, and I met with this gentleman, and then he said, he was absolutely generous. I mean, this is a Bay Area culture. He was absolutely generous. He put me in touch with all the VCs that he knew. He put me in touch with all the friends and mentors, successful entrepreneurs, everybody that he knew. He said, go meet them, just talk to them. And for me, somebody who didn't know what a VC looked like, I thought a VC, had a different look. He didn't have two hands and two legs and two. I was pretty sure he was somebody else. Suddenly I was meeting some 15, 20 of them all together, and they're shaking my hand and saying, Ravi, tell me what is it that you need and stuff like that. And I was absolutely, enthralled by this whole experience. And then I spent about 3-4 days there. Then I took the flight back, completely changed person. My intentionality was way high, way high. I was so much more committed to the company. I was so much more energized. Within about 2 months, I raised $500,000. And within a year of that, I raised $2 million. Within a year of that, I raised $12 million. And suddenly, I had $14.5 million that I had raised within 2 years. So it's just absolutely, what changed? It was the same guy, same business plan, same everything else. It's just that I had intentioned this to become absolutely a great successful startup. That was the only thing. My energy levels to get past the barriers, get past the negativity, get past all the resistance had changed. And therefore I was able to get past all these and make things happen. So intentionality is absolutely a very important thing. You guys have so much intentionality amongst yourself. One, generate that every morning. Make every cell of your body wanting to go there and make it happen. Not one part of it, not doing it, the other part wants to do it, right? You just want to make sure that your entire body, soul, mind is into this and go for it. Otherwise, don't do it. It's okay. So just do 100% whenever you do it. So you have the intentionality, you may not be getting all the right answers. That's when you come to a place where there are mentors and there are other people. Get yourself reset. Once the reset is done, you can really go make it happen. So the technique that you would use to generate intentionality for yourself is by pumping in a lot of oxygen. So we really need to open the doors and pumping a lot more oxygen into your bloodstream, right? And for this, what we have this breathing technique called Vastika. Okay, so let's try that, and then we'll be done with this. So you know how to do it, huh? Okay. So take your hands up, get into a fist, and take as deep a breath as possible. Get as much oxygen as possible, right? And then with a lot of force, let it go. So the oxygen rejuvenates you. The letting go takes out all the negative energy. Okay? And let's do it 5 times. How was that? All right. So, as I say, our entrepreneurial journey is a spiritual journey. It's a very natural journey. Really put yourself into it, and I'm pretty sure all the resources that you need are within you, within your body, within your mind, within your soul already. And if there isn't, I'm sure because of your intentionality, there will be other people who will be coming to come and help you, running to come and help you. So just make sure that you are able to make this thing happen, and I'm sure each one of you will build a extremely successful startup, and we Bangaloreans will be coming here to learn from you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi, for the very interesting session. I think that was really unique. We did yoga, we did breathing exercises, and for a dose of several takeaways. Just summarize it for you. This is not about you, this is about other people. So don't look inward, look outward. Probably that's one message. The second thing being, if you are self-aware and you understand that you're just a messenger, you should be able to deal with all the ups and downs of the startup. Because when the down starts happening, we all know. We just focus on the down, the up is no longer there. So the moment you're able to slightly see it in a much more objective manner, you're able to see the larger picture that you're trying to get at. The third being, obviously within that, you talk about clarity of purpose and to stop comparing yourself with the others because your journey is unique and special to you. And I think one point which really resonated with me in particular is the purpose that you need to sort of, the word you used is generate intention, right? And I think this is extremely important for you to sort of speak to yourself every day and sort of energize every cell of your body, as you put it, make sure that your interest doesn't start waning away, because if that starts happening, it reflects in all the actions and everything that you do with your co-founders, with your team members, and you might think they're not noticing it, but the signals are strong and you think it's subtle, it's not. So very interesting session, and I think very important takeaway for all the entrepreneurs sitting here is keep the father-in-law happy. Because I resonate with that point in particular. I work out of the basement of a new startup at this point in time. When the father-in-law and the mother-in-law is visiting, I'm not in the house. I'm out there meeting customers. So that's, thank you Ravi once again for the very interesting session. I think a lot of takeaways there. I now invite Ravi to hand over the manager to Ravi. All right, now break for lunch, and we have a 30-minute lunch break, and we have a hard stop at 30 minutes. So enjoy lunch and meet around and see you.